Good morning, friends. Welcome to The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side. If you have questions, comments, success stories you'd like to share, or just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll take your calls in our next segment and talk to Harvey Deutschendorf. At the bottom of the hour, Harvey is the author of The Other Kind of Smart, Simple Ways to Boost Your Emotional Intelligence for Greater Personal Effectiveness and Success. We're going to talk emotional intelligence, or EQ, as it's called. Harvey's got a great TED Talk, and he's also an author for, or a writer for Fast Company magazine. We'll talk to Harvey at the bottom of the hour. We'll take your calls next segment, 844-236-6010. If you want to purchase longevity products, go to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. You can also call 866-735-2470 for more information, or you can sign up to join the Brightside Ben team by clicking on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. If you're an entrepreneur or you have a fondness for nutrition, or nutrition has helped you in your life personally, or if you just want to be part of the billion-dollar health business, now is a great opportunity. Now is a great time to take advantage of a business opportunity, a home-based business opportunity. Click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com for a one-time $30 fee. You can be in business for yourself. You can also call 866-735-2470 for more information. All right, we'll have Harvey Deutschendorf talking about EQ, emotional intelligence, at the bottom of the hour. We'll get your calls next segment, 844-236-6010. Want to continue talking about choline, the vitamin-like nutrient, and its derivative, acetylcholine, and the relationship of blocking acetylcholine, the nerve transmitter, acetylcholine, to beauty. The deadly nightshade, that is belladonna, meaning pretty woman, as we said yesterday, has a history both being used for murdering people and also for making people more beautiful. That's due to its active constituent, its deadly constituent atropine, named after the Greek goddess Atropa, who was one of the three sisters of fate. She was the sister that was responsible for cutting off life, for killing people. And if you want to kill someone, atropine does make a perfect poison. You only need a few drops of it, and it's rapidly broken down upon death, and it leaves no trace. It is bitter. It's an alkaloid, and it's medicinal. It tastes pretty wicked, so historically, assassins would use it in food or wine. Belladonna atropine was also used historically by ancient Roman and medieval women to make their eyes wide. So it was assumed back then, as today, that when your eyes were wide, actually when your pupils were dilated technically, you were more attractive. And the same acetylcholine blocking property that induces paralysis and kills people also widens the pupils, and that was considered to be beautiful. Women would squeeze the juice out of belladonna berries and apply it directly to their eyes using a feather. Alternatively, they would use belladonna berry juice, if you will, as a toner and apply it to their face, take advantage of this vasodilating property that acetylcholine blocking would induce, and you get a nice rosy glow to your skin. Belladonna, or atropine actually, the atropine in belladonna also makes your eyes appear darker. The pupil dilation effect makes your eyes look darker. Agatha Christie used this effect in her murder mysteries to give the hero, I forgot his name, a trick for disguising himself. Belladonna is a nightshade vegetable like tomatoes and peppers and eggplant and potatoes. And it's known for all of these so-called nightshades, or solanaceae vegetables, as they're technically called, are known for their inflammatory effects and immune-activating effects. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, or if you have an autoimmune disease, or if you have regular arthritis or any inflammatory conditions, probably a good idea to stay away from tomatoes or potatoes or eggplant or pepper, these solanaceae or nightshade vegetables. Belladonna is another nightshade vegetable. It's colloquially called the deadly nightshade. Another nightshade vegetable, it's really interesting, is Jimson weed, also known as datura. Jimson weed, or datura, has become popular as a recreational drug recently. In fact, I was just reading an article here from the West Virginia Medical Journal about Jimson weed toxicity, the dangers of Jimson weed and its abuse by teenagers in the Kanawha Valley of West Virginia. Apparently, belladonna grows naturally in West Virginia. It's been used as a home remedy since the Revolutionary War. But now, because it grows so readily and can be found anywhere, kids apparently are using Jimson weed as a drug. That's because Datura, or Jimson weed, has got some really interesting psychedelic effects. Datura can induce these weird hallucinations that occur within a normal context. So you'll be sitting there talking to your friend, and then all of a sudden a gremlin will appear on your friend's shoulder, or an elf will appear just spontaneously as you're having a normal conversation. According to Dr. David Luke, a PhD from the University of Greenwich in London, the Datura experience is like a waking dream. He says that Datura is the only psychedelic that is a true hallucinogen. According to Dr. Luke, when you're on a Datura trip, quote, everything looks normal, and then you turn around and you're having a conversation with a werewolf, and that seems normal. And then you turn back and it disappears, unquote. Thought that was kind of interesting. Datura can induce hallucinatory effects of touch, of taste, of smell, fully immersive hallucinations where you're completely immersed in an experience and all your senses are in this hallucination. And many users have reported weird kinds of phenomena. One thing that happens is something called the phantom cigarette, where you're doing Datura and even if you're a non-smoker, you'll think that you're smoking a cigarette. You'll feel like you have a cigarette in your hand. You'll actually have an experience of a cigarette in your hand, even if there's no cigarette in your hand. They call it the phantom cigarette experience. And it's so real that when the cigarette disappears, users of Datura, people who are on this Datura trip, will actually find themselves on the floor frantically searching for their lost imaginary cigarette. South American ayahuascadores, people who guide ayahuasca journeys, I suppose you'd say. Ayahuasca is really interesting stuff. I'm definitely going to start talking about that a little bit. Ayahuasca is a brew that's made by South American shaman. People from the United States go down to Peru and I think it's Peru and Ecuador, and they drink this brew, and they have these 8-hour hallucination journeys that are supposedly very spiritual and also very life transformative. Ayahuascadores will add Datura to their ayahuasca brews to increase their potency. In Haiti, Datura, Jimson weed, is called the zombie cucumber, and it's used to make zombies. They actually have this stuff they call zombie powder, which actually literally turns victims into zombies. Zombies are living dead people. And there's a whole recipe for this zombie powder, and it utilizes Datura as one of the ingredients in this zombie powder. The word zombie is a Haitian word. It's part of the voodoo religion. And making a zombie is a 2-step process. If you're interested in making a zombie, first you got to take the toxin from a pufferfish. Pufferfish are a really poisonous fish. They secrete this stuff called tetrodotoxin, which is 1,000 times more potent than cyanide. One pufferfish has enough tetrodotoxin to kill 30 people. And there's no antidote for tetrodotoxin either. So anyway, tetrodotoxin has this paralyzing effect, and it's step 1 in making zombie powder. And if you ever want to make a zombie, I don't know if you ever want to do that, but it's kind of interesting how they do this. We'll finish that up when we come back from our break. Take your phone calls as well. 844-236-6010. We are back on the bright side. I'm pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. Lines open for you. Got Harvey Deutschendorf talking about emotional intelligence, EQ. Harvey's got a really cool TED Talk on road rage, which is a classic example of low EQ, at least temporary low EQ. And he's got a really interesting take on road rage and how you can take care of EQ, how you can improve EQ in general. We'll talk to Harvey Deutschendorf at the bottom of the hour, and then if we have calls, we'll get them, take them. This segment, 844-236-6010. So, we're talking about acetylcholine, derivative of choline. Choline is a really underappreciated nutrient, vitamin-like nutrient. It is essential, although many healthcare professionals don't appreciate its essentiality because it only became essential about 20 years ago. So we haven't really known how important it was, although we did know about choline for 150 years or so. It's in the nervous. It plays a very important role in the nervous system. It's very important for fat metabolism. It's also important for liver health, and choline deficiencies associated with fatty liver disease. Supplementing with choline is probably a good idea. Eggs are one of nature's best source of choline, although choline is found in a lot of different foods. Green leafy vegetables will have some choline in them, and organ meats also will have choline. Choline is turned into something called acetylcholine, which plays a major role in mental health and neural health and the health of the muscles. health of the cardiovascular system. It's probably, along with adrenaline, one of the two major neurotransmitters in the body, and one of the first ones that we discovered. And working with acetylcholine is one of medicine's most important functions. Is either blocking acetylcholine or supporting acetylcholine. Blocking acetylcholine has all kinds of effects. Before we went to break, we were talking about zombie cucumber, which is the Haitian name for datura or Jimson weed. And it gets the name because datura, Jimson weed, block acetylcholine and create zombies. And if you want to create a zombie, for whatever reason you want to create a zombie, it's a two-step process. The first step uses tetrodotoxin, which is a nasty poison that's secreted from the pufferfish, which is one of probably the most poisonous of all the fishes. Tetrodotoxin is 1,000 times more powerful than cyanide. So anyway, you make a zombie powder is a two-step process. First, the zombie is given, the would-be zombie victim is given tetrodotoxin, and that has a paralyzing effect. It blocks acetylcholine, like Jimson weed does. And then stage 2, they give them datura or Jimson weed. And the net effect is you get this kind of, if you control the dose, if you do too much, you kill the person. But if you do just the right amount, you get this sustained zombie. The datura makes the patient susceptible. The pufferfish makes the patient suggestible, I should say. And the tetrodotoxin makes them stiff, not totally paralyzed, but just kind of stumbling and stupefied. And the net effect is a zombie, a living dead person. From a medicinal standpoint, datura or Jimson weed is used to treat digestive problems, and in ancient China, datura was mixed with cannabis and wine, and it created a kind of social lubricant. It's also used to treat, in Chinese medicine, to treat colds and nervous conditions, anxiety and insomnia and such. But datura is nasty. If you're thinking about using datura for any kind of medicinal purposes, it is toxic stuff like belladonna. It can be deadly. It doesn't kill people. Fatalities are rare, but it is definitely not good stuff. Even though you can find datura drops on the internet, and datura grows on the East Coast, particularly in the mountainous parts of the East Coast. But I certainly don't recommend that you use datura or Jimson weed for anything, really. These medicinal properties of the acetylcholine blocking drugs, the solanaceae or acetylcholine blocking plants like solanaceae, belladonna, and datura, Jimson weed, they have medicinal properties as well. They can raise your heart rate, they can dry up bodily secretions pre-surgery, and they're used as an antidote for pesticide poisoning, for mushroom poisoning also. Atropine, which is the active ingredient in this in belladonna, is used as eye drops to treat eye swelling. If you ever go to the eye doctor and he puts drops in your eyes to dilate your pupils, those are probably atropine eye drops. And then there's another really interesting cosmetic application for acetylcholine blocking drugs, acetylcholine blocking pharmaceuticals, and that's Botox. Botox works by blocking acetylcholine. Botox works by blocking acetylcholine, relaxing the facial muscles, and you end up getting less wrinkles. Botox is also used to treat eye spasms and migraine headaches and excessive sweating, all for the same reason. It has a relaxing effect. And this relaxing effect of Botox is the result of a miniature version of botulism. Botulism is a rare but extremely deadly disease as a result of poisoning by a bacterial toxin called botulinum toxin, made by the specific type of bacteria, Clostridium botulinum. This bacteria is typically found in foods, especially canned foods. That's why they tell you not to eat. If you ever get a canned food that's bent, that tell you not to eat the food from that can, because it's could potentially anyway be contaminated with Clostridium botulinum and botulism toxin. Green beans, spinach, mushrooms, low-acid vegetables tend to be susceptible to botulinum poisoning, or Clostridium botulinum poisoning, the bacteria. Green beans, mushrooms, beets, fish sometimes, canned tuna, smoked fish, ham, sausage. And then sometimes honey. There's something called infant botulinum or infant botulism, which can come from honey. So it's a really good idea to cook your honey or pasteurize your honey, although you do end up killing the enzymes and some of the vitamins when you do that. But still, heat does destroy botulinum toxins, so boiling your foods in general is probably a good idea if you suspect botulinum or botulism or food. Actually, boiling foods is probably a good idea no matter what, although it does ruin some of the nutritional value. Contaminated soil and untreated water are also sources of botulinum toxin. And then there are cosmetic ingredients that have Botox-like effects because they have a relaxing effect on wrinkles, and they do work pretty well. I've worked with them myself. The effects are temporary. They call them Botox-like substances. If you're interested in these Botox-like ingredients, they're basically peptides. Two of my favorites are called argireline and SNAP-8. If you want to get they're called neuropeptides because they work on the neurology. If you're looking for a neuropeptide to relax your muscles in your cosmetic products, you want to get to the ingredient deck. It's always a good idea to read the ingredient deck and look for acetylhexapeptide 3, that's argireline, and then another one called acetylhexapeptide 8, and that is SNAP-8. And they work sort of well. I used to put super high doses of them in my products. I haven't worked with them in a while. But if you put super high concentrations in a formulation, say 20% or 25%, you can get some skin tightening effects, but they are temporary. I don't really use them that much because they don't really address the skin health, although in the short term, you have to go to a party or you have to go to some kind of event or have your pictures taken. They may be of some interest to you. Drugs that block acetylcholine can be spotted by their tendency to cause cotton mouth or dryness. You ever smoked marijuana and got dry mouth from it? Well, that's acetylcholine. Marijuana or THC, I should say, the active ingredient in marijuana, is well known for blocking acetylcholine. Benadryl is a classic anticholinergic or acetylcholine drug, and recently, in the last couple of years anyway, it's been noted that people who take a lot of Benadryl are more susceptible to dementia and cognitive decline. Benadryl is a mild drug, but it is a drug nonetheless, and if you're taking a lot of it, you may want to be careful with that one. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Harvey Deutschendorf coming up in our next segment. Don't go away. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on the archive page at benfuchsarchives.com, also brightsideben.com. We have a search engine up on both pages as well as the longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. If you want to sign up to join the Brightside Ben team, you can also click on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. We've got the longevity products also, and news stories and blog posts and various interviews that I've done, especially on criticalhealthnews.com. Thank you to John T. Collier for setting that one up. And then don't forget to take a look at our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com and check out our over 1,400 4- and 5-star reviews at truthreview.com. We got Black Friday and Black Friday specials going now, and then Christmas specials coming up soon at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com, and our reviews are up at truthreviewed.com, truthreviewed with a D.com. Okay, I'm looking forward to speaking to our guest today. Harvey Deutschendorf is an emotional intelligence expert. He's a speaker and a trainer, and the author of The Other Kind of Smart, Simple Ways to Boost Your Emotional Intelligence for Greater Personal Effectiveness and Success. He's also got a great TED Talk on emotional intelligence vis-a-vis road rage. And now is a super time to really start working on our emotional intelligence. It's really easy to get freaked out from an emotional standpoint and become emotionally retarded, emotionally stupid with all this stuff that's going on in the news today. Please welcome our very timely guest, Harvey Deutschendorf, to the Bright Side. Hey, Harvey.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to talk to you. Now's the time we really want to become emotionally savvy, don't you think?
Yeah, there's no better time than now, Ben, for sure.
There's no better time than now. So would I be accurate to say that your specialty is road rage, or one of your specialties?
That's one of the areas of emotional intelligence, and that's the one area where our emotions can cause us a lot of damage if we don't get them under control. So yeah.
I find that I consider myself to be emotionally intelligent, somewhat emotionally intelligent, but road rage, it seems, because you're threatened so badly. And isn't that when we become emotionally stupid, is when we're threatened, when our survival is threatened?
Yeah. We get into a fight or flight mode right away, and we're unable to get our minds, our powerful thinking minds to really help us out if we get caught into our emotional state, and that basically controls us. So that's a very crucial thing, is to give ourselves some time out so that we're able to think things through before we so we can respond with our thinking brain instead of reacting strictly from our emotions.
But yet this is built into us. I mean, we are the descendants of ancestors who survived by freaking out.
Well, we needed our emotional brain because we needed to get quick information. When there was saber-toothed tigers around and there were animals that could kill us, we had to make a quick decision whether to fight or flight and run, because it was very quick. We don't have that need much anymore. But that primitive brain, which is also our emotional brain, is what's the thing that picks up signals from our environment. And if we find ourselves reacting to that, it takes about 6 seconds for the message to get to our thinking brain from our emotional brain. And if we get stuck in that emotional brain, we can do all kinds of rational or irrational things, and before we get a chance to think things through. So it's important to give ourselves that break, that cushion of time.
6 seconds is all you need?
It's about, it takes about 6 seconds. If we can stop ourselves from reacting when we're getting really, really upset about something, it takes about 6 seconds. We're going to start, our emotions will start going down, and it's not likely that we're going to do something really rash or crazy. At that time, our thinking brains will get a chance, our neocortex to kick in, and we'll make better decisions at that time.
Well, that sounds theoretically great, but if you're in this emotionally retarded state, you're not going to know to take 6 seconds.
No, that's true. But the thing is, what we can do is practice doing something. I mean, when we find ourselves getting in that state, before we just find ourselves getting upset, all you have to do is say, okay, count to 10, or think of something, whatever works for you, to get ourselves distracted from that. And as soon as we get ourselves distracted, we're okay. It's just when we get caught up in that, and we're in the grips of that emotion that we're in danger. But if we can get ourselves distracted, so whatever it takes to get ourselves there. For me, it's counting to 10. I start counting to 10 automatically, and by the time I get to about 6 or 7, that urge to react is going down right away. And I tell the story about my own struggles with road rage in my TEDx talk, and how that works for me. And
tell that story. It's an interesting story.
Well, I was driving along the other day, and it was a couple of years ago, and it was in the summer day. It was in the city, and I was in the right lane, and all of a sudden, this vehicle pulls right in front of me, and I actually had to slam on the brakes to avoid hitting it. And right away, I was thinking, my first reaction was to use both my hands, one for the horn and the other
for the finger.
Right. And I realized when I have the urge to do that is I start counting to 10. As I'm counting, I'm starting counting, and I'm getting, the urge to do that is going down. I'm not, that's just an initial urge going down, and then as and I start thinking, wonder why he cut in front of me. The original story I told myself was, of course, he decided last minute he had to make a right turn. Instead of going around, and taking a little extra time, he thought he'd just, cut in front of this line of traffic and just about cause an accident. I thought this guy's a jerk. And then when I was then I started thinking, I wonder why he did that. I wasn't sure. I heard it as the siren was going down the lane that he came out of, and I hadn't heard it, but he was getting out of the way of an ambulance. So you can imagine how it would have felt if I'd given him the horn and the finger.
Right. Does it seem to you that our culture encourages this kind of reaction, this low IQ reaction, like watching the news and commercial interest getting us to buy things and purchase things, and even things like horror movies, and where it seems like we're encouraged to go into that kind of reptilian way of being? What is that about?
Yeah, and I think you're right. But the also thing is our attention span is getting much much less attention. We want immediate results. We need immediate satisfaction, immediate results. We're not willing to wait for anything any longer. So that's causing that problem as well. So our whole society is sort of on a speed. On speed dial, and that's causing more problems. We're not relaxed. We're getting more and more stressed, that type of thing. And even now with COVID and stuff, we're stressed, and we take that out in our vehicles, and we're ready, primed anytime to get into our emotional brain and start reacting. So we have to give ourselves some time, back off a little bit. Yeah,
we're encouraged to be reactive. In other words. Headlines encourage us, and
react immediate,
big bold print and exclamation points, all that. All right, so when we come back from our break, Harvey, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some ways that we can boost emotional intelligence. Your book, The Other Kind of Smart: Simple Ways to Boost Your Intelligence. Harvey Deutschendorf is with us on the bright side. We'll be back with more about EQ and the other kind of smart on the bright side right after this. Okay, we are back on the bright side. We're talking to Harvey Deutschendorf. His book is The Other Kind of Smart: Simple Ways to Boost Your Emotional Intelligence for Greater Personal Effectiveness and Success. His website is theotherkindofsmart.com. Harvey's an author as well as a author for Fast Company magazine, as well as got a great TED Talk video that I highly recommend. So, Harvey, you're talking about this kind of road rage sort of EQ suppressor, if you will. But isn't there another kind of EQ suppressant effect that takes place long term? Like if somebody does you wrong and you type out an email, for example, and you sort of stew on things. Doesn't that involve EQ as well?
Yeah, it does. That's the, there's many different aspects of EQ, emotional intelligence, and basically the ability to, not hold grudges or move on, that type of thing is to be flexible and adaptable, and part of that is knowing yourself, being self-aware, and being aware of other people. Getting to know how you affect other people, becoming aware of what other people may be thinking, may be feeling, that type of thing will
empathy.
help. Empathy, having empathy for what another person is going through, and realizing that what's happening may not be about you at all. It may be something different that the other person is going through, and being aware of all those different things just makes our relationships much more meaningful with other people. We can make better connections. We can understand people better. It starts with understanding ourselves and what triggers us and what makes us tick, and understanding how we show up to other people. So,
do you think we have a low EQ culture?
I think our EQ apparently is going down because of first of all, our dependency upon our devices and things like that, where our attention span is decreasing, things like that. So I think, we're talking to each other less. We're more dependent on going through our device. And I think the other thing is the COVID thing as well. We're not interacting, face-to-face as much anymore. It's through screen, Zoom fatigue, things like that. So, all of those things are affecting, I think, our emotional intelligence, and anything that takes us away from interacting directly with each other, recognizing body language, that's a sort of face-to-face interaction will lower our emotional intelligence.
Is our political system low EQ, would you say?
Is it working?
Is it low EQ? Is our political system low EQ?
Yeah, for the most part. It's basically, there's very little attempt to understand, the other person, what they're saying and that thing, and try to form connections. The political system is based on, attacking the other person, finding faults and weaknesses, that type of thing. There's, we have to pull back and start to understand ourselves and try to understand the other person. And through that's how we make connections, and that's how we, heal what is our political system is very I think is very wounded and very, toxic at this time.
Would you say that religion at its best, not at its worst, but religion at its best is an EQ development system?
Oh, it is. Well, we're in the message. I guess when you dig down to it, from all religions, is to be kind, to understand. Be kind, help people out, that type of thing. That's a message for connection, for understanding and stuff. But a lot of that, it's sort of gone out of the window. So the real core, the real message is understanding, connection, helping one another, and looking after each other. That's the core message there, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so the other kind of smart, it's subtitled Simple Ways to Boost Your Emotional Intelligence. What are some simple ways that we can boost our emotional intelligence? Simple ways.
Well, I mean, the first thing is emotional self-awareness. Just spend about 10 minutes a day focusing, on your feelings and thinking about, when you're upset, what caused you to be upset. And you can take that. A lot of times what causes us to be upset isn't what actually happened. It triggers something that can go all the way back to childhood. Just becoming more self-aware of ourselves. And the other thing is our assertiveness. We can practice asking for what we want. We're in a restaurant and something isn't quite right, and we don't really want to be a pain, so we don't say anything. But you're just practicing. Well, politely. This, could you take this back or whatever? This isn't quite the way it should be. Practice those kinds of things. And when we ask for something, don't sort of say, "Well, I'm sorry to bother you," or anything. Just ask very, very politely. Practice that. It may be uncomfortable at first if we have a problem with that, but do it, and it'll get easier over time. Just simple things like that. Relationships, listening to the other person, not just thinking about our response, which most of us do most of the time, just what we're going to respond, but actually listening and then asking questions and saying, "Well, tell me more about that." That will make people feel that they're being heard, because most of the time when we're in conversations, we feel we're not being heard, even if we don't agree with the person. That's okay, and the important thing is that we really that we hear what they're saying, and not necessarily have to agree, but that they're heard. Everybody needs to be heard, wants to be heard, and that's the beginning of making good connections, is that when we're heard.
Yes, this is something called active listening. Have you heard of this concept, active listening?
Oh, yes.
So in other words, you actually work at listening.
Yeah. Well, actually, what I do is you can practice that with somebody, your partner, or anybody close to you. Sit and they can talk for 3 minutes, and all you repeat at the end of those 3 minutes. You repeat back what you heard them say. So you just practice that. You're not going to respond to anything they say. You just feed that back to them and practice this type of thing. And you're not distracted by, I got to respond or this is, and feed back to them what they said. This is something we can all practice and get better at.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Did you use your EQ skills in child rearing? It seems to me like parenting would be a great place for EQ to have EQ skills, good EQ skills.
Well, I when I was probably parenting, I didn't really have the skills. I developed them one time, but I wasn't probably. Yeah, it's something you develop through work, and I wasn't even aware of a lot of things. I think at the time. So yeah, for sure.
It seems like we're collectively suffering from poor EQs, or parents with poor EQs as a culture. You think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have a lot of pressure on that, and it's just it takes time and it takes effort, and to practice EQ and to develop it and things like that. And when we get rushed and we don't take the time to listen, and the big part of it is children not feel that they're being heard or listened to. It's not even that they're able to get what they want or anything, but just just feeling heard, just feeling that somebody's taken the time to listen, will just go a long ways to developing much healthier relationships.
I always thought the kids who act out are manifesting not being listened, the impact of not being listened to.
Yeah, they're not being heard. They feel they're not understood, and that type of thing. And they act out. Where I think, the important thing is to just listen and to not. We our emotions are neither right or wrong. It's what we do with them that matters. So, we're all entitled to our feelings, to our emotions, and not to shut anybody down when they're expressing feelings, whatever they are.
How do you define an emotion? What is an emotion? What do you mean when you say an emotion?
Well,
the strict definition.
Yeah. It's mad, glad, sad. They're feelings that come out. They're either.
It's not a feeling in the body, though, is it?
Yeah, it is a feeling in the body. You can feel. If you can probably feel. People feel their emotions in different places. I usually feel mine in my stomach, in my gut, but you can feel a tightness in your chest. You can feel it in your jaw. That's a tightening or whatever. You can also feel good emotions. Joy,
love in the heart.
Yeah, love in the heart. Wherever you feel that, you can actually feel it someplace in your body. So.
All right, Harvey, that's it. We're out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. The book is The Other Kind of Smart, Simple Ways to Boost Your Emotional Intelligence for Greater Personal Effectiveness and Success. And the website is theotherkindofsmart.com. Thanks for joining us, Harvey. Have a beautiful day, buddy.
You too.
Harvey Deutschendorf, emotional intelligence expert, and that's all the time we have for today on The Bright Side. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.